Hello, everyone, and welcome to Off the Wall. My name is Sol. I got Jason here with me today, and we're doing day 6 of 25 Days of Christmas. Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing well. This is fun. I'm enjoying the hell out of this. It's that time of year to watch bad movies or good ones and just sit back, drink hot chocolate and enjoy yourself. Can't wait to talk about this one.
And the movie we're going to be discussing today is EXmas. It's on Amazon Prime, but I think it's through Freebie, whatever. First, before I ask you what your non-spoiler thoughts are, I'm going to give the premise of this movie, which is you have these two people, they're ex-fiancés, and the girl has kept in touch with his family, which is weirdly something that I've only seen women do, is when they break up with a man, they still are friends with their family. I've never seen a guy do that. But she's in contact with his family and gets invited to Christmas because his family thinks he's not going to be there because he said he couldn't because he has a deadline at work. But he ends up surprising them, and now he has to spend Christmas with his ex. So, what are your non spoiler thoughts of this movie?
I walked into this movie with very low expectations and I was pleasantly surprised and entertained. It is very well acted, very well written. I love the comic chops. Yes, there's some stuff that kind of grates you a little bit. However, overall, it honestly didn't really detract from the movie. I mean, it's better than some of the movies that we've watched and reviewed for this list
Definitely.
so far. How about you? What did you think?
I thought this movie was good. I thought it was written well. I thought that the two main characters had good chemistry with each other. But if I'm being
What?
completely honest, if I'm being completely honest,
That's what we are here. Honesty.
I hate Allie.
Oh
I
yeah.
hate her. I watched this late at night and I was angry with her. And not angry because the movie was bad. I was angry because it was written well and you're not supposed to like her. And I did not like her at all. She did some things that was borderline evil to me. And he also did some things that are not great as
Oh
well.
yeah.
Both of them are not good, but if I were to pick a side, which really you shouldn't, but if I were to pick one, I'd be on his side. But they both are just really childish and immature. But it works for this movie. But it also makes you angry while
Oh yeah.
watching.
100%. 100%. 100%. I don't think as this movie's going on, you're supposed to be rooting for any of the characters. You're kind of like sympathizing a little bit with the family. But this one was actually, like I said, it's
It
surprisingly
was
entertaining.
decent.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
really good.
decent. So let's go into spoilers here. And like I said before, he comes home and finds out that he has to spend Christmas with his ex. An ex fiance that broke up with him, and according to him, never gave him a real reason why she broke up with him. So he's left there with feelings of hurt and not knowing why the relationship ended. His family and parents love Allie, and he decides that he's going to ruin her image in his family eyes. He wants to make his family hate her. Like I said before, a little childish, but he's kind of in a bad spot here. And I feel for him a bit because I would be feeling some type of way if I came home and saw my ex walking down the stairs.
Oh, 100%.
This is his family. And if I was her in this position, I would have left the second he came. But if that happened, we would not have a movie here. So, thoughts on the setup of this movie and him coming home to find out, oh,
100%.
here's my ex.
100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. The scene with him laying on the couch with a laptop working, having a little container of Chinese food over his thing, like trying to catch a remote, spilling a little bit of the Chinese food, doing all that sort of stuff, and his house is a mess. You can tell he's kind of like working, and he's kind of not really taking care of himself at the moment because he's
No.
broke. And this is the part about the writing which I feel like is really good because you're seeing in like 2 seconds you saw how they set it up where like they were both in love, and then the
They had a
relationship. Yeah, it
montage.
was a montage. It was a great montage. It was a very quick, easy
Montage.
yeah, oh my god, that song is gonna be in my head now the rest of the night. It was a great movie montage moment for like a minute, and you're honestly like super into it. It made you kind of understand the character in like 3 seconds. And then he has this immature thing where he's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna make her terrible," and I'm just like, "Oh god, let's go movie."
And they end up doing game night. And they play this game called Werewolf. And if you haven't ever played Werewolf before, Werewolf is pretty fun. And Allie is trying to convince everyone that Graham is the werewolf. She's not the werewolf. She looks into Mom's eyes to eyes, and promises that she is a villager. She is not the werewolf, and she swears on the spirit of Christmas. And it turns out she actually is the werewolf after everyone picks that Graham's the werewolf. And Mom is not happy because how could you lie to Mom and swear on the spirit of Christmas? And even though this is the point of the game, you're supposed to lie, but Mom took that real hard and
Hmm.
was like, this is a step too far. And Graham knew that her competitive nature would get her in trouble. She realizes that Graham is trying to make her look bad in front of the family, and she makes a bet with him. And the kind of way that she made this bet, it was like, "Want to bet?" I was like, "Am I supposed to like you? Because I don't like you right now." They make a bet, this childish bet, that whoever the family chooses gets to have Christmas with the family for the rest of time, I guess. And this makes both of them look bad, but this especially makes her look bad because this is his family and you're trying to push him away from his family and say, you can't have Christmas with your family anymore. I deserve it. You don't, even though I'm not related to them. I just, ugh, it made me not like her, and there's worse to come from her. And I'm just like, what is wrong with you when this moment happened? So, thoughts on this section, family game night?
Well, I'll ask you this first. If at the beginning, and I know we wouldn't have gotten a movie if we didn't have this plot line. If he had come home and said, "My life has been a mess. I've missed you. I want you back. I'll do whatever I need to." I think she's still in love with him also. And I think that's one of the reasons why she didn't want to leave is because she was hoping that he would um, make it show her. I get it.
Mm,
Eh.
I I would say from girl brain here, what she was hoping is that she was going to have a lovely Christmas with a family she truly cares about, and he's not going to be there because she does not want to be around him.
True.
Because even though she never gave him a reason, and we don't find out the reason until later why they broke up, she doesn't want to be around him, doesn't believe in him anymore. And she stays not because of him, she stays because of the family. So it has nothing to do with him. And she'd rather not be around him because he's already disappointed her. And to me, it's just childish.
I got you.
It's really, really childish. It has nothing to do with he's gonna show me and everything's gonna be good and we'll get back together at the end of this. It has nothing to do with that. It's really, I want to spend time with these lovely people who care about me because my dad has a different girlfriend every week and my mom's dead. So
Yeah, I get it.
it's not the reason why.
I get that. It's what we touched on earlier, where I don't think you're supposed to like either one of them in this moment. Maybe he's a little bit more likable, maybe, but not really.
I think he's more likable in this moment until a later moment where it's just like, okay, he's really bad too. But up until this moment, I'm just like, what is wrong with her?
I know, right?
The next thing that Allie does that pisses me off is the bathroom thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
This pisses me off so much. She removes the sign that says, "Warning, hold handle 5 seconds or toilet will flood." So when he went in after her, he would flood the bathroom and piss his family off. This is what she is hoping for. And to me, this is the part that's borderline evil. Because you're messing up plumbing and causing a flood in a house costs a lot of money, especially because they have carpet too. So
Oh yeah.
that's even more money. That's a bitch to fix. Is when you have carpet and it gets extremely wet because of flooding. So this is a family that she claims to care about. And she's about to cost them a lot of money if this doesn't get fixed. She also, as he's running out to get towels to fix this, puts the sign back up, which is super manipulative, and takes the plunger with her, which would fix the problem, and is skipping down the hallway with the so merrily with this happy face, like la 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 la. They're gonna hate him. They're gonna love me. I'm gonna save the day. And I was like, this is psychotic.
Yeah.
And when she does come in and save the day, and everyone's like, "You're a hero," I was looking at her like, "You are evil." This, and who knows how much damage it cost because the water did get into the hallway, which has carpet. So they probably are not going to focus on that in a movie on fixing the floor, but that definitely needs to be fixed. And that is not cheap.
Movie magic.
Right. And like I said, this is so manipulative. And you could tell by now that I really don't like her. So, thoughts on this section?
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're not. I don't think you're supposed to like her at this moment. He's supposedly been coming home a lot, or he's been in his parents' house before. Has he not ever used the bathroom at his parents' house before?
Well, plumbing can change.
That's true.
So, there could be an issue that arises. And I don't think he's been home in a while, or at
Okay.
least since last Christmas. So, if there was an issue in the house and they maybe can't afford it, or they need to save up money to fix the problem, or they're just like, here's a simple solution. I don't have to spend money on this. Let's just put a sign up. That's very possible.
Very good
That could
point.
have happened in between the years since he's last seen his family. I didn't see that as a plot hole.
Nah. I mean, it's a Christmas movie. If we really started examining every single plot hole in a Christmas movie, oh Lord. But you're absolutely right. I don't think you're supposed to like her at this moment, but I did like the fact that she was like skipping down like honestly, it's like maniacal a little bit. She's playing it so well.
Psychotic.
Yeah, she's playing it
Psychotic.
so well.
Someone steals baby Jesus from the nativity set outside, and Allie and Graham end up going to the store to get a new one. At the store, she says, "Does it have to be total war between us this entire holiday?" Which is rich coming from her after what she just did with the bathroom. They end up buying a T Rex baby Jesus and a rubber ducky baby Jesus because that was all that was available there at the store. We also find out that Graham's family owns a car dealership and they're having a holiday party. There is a goat there, and Allie is scared of goats. And this is where Graham does the thing that makes him look really bad. He takes the goat food and puts it in her pocket, and you have the goat chasing her, which was hilarious. And normally I would be like, this is so awful of him. How could he do that? But because I already don't like her, I thought this was the funniest thing. But in
Get
real
her.
life, I would say, don't do this to people. It's not nice. So, what are your thoughts on the getting the new baby Jesuses, the T Rex rubber ducky, and the car dealership party with the goat?
The baby Jesus thing, when everybody they're all outside and they're talking about the Mrs. Baby Jesus, the sister is stealing these scenes. The family in general is stealing this scene. So just the mom's reaction that baby Jesus is missing. But then they go to the store and then you see their chemistry and you see their playfulness, how they could be if they would just put away the knives and enjoy themselves maybe, because they do play it off really well. And I love the interaction, especially when they're trying to pick one of like, do we go with the duck that sounds like a baby when you squeeze it, or do you go with the T-Rex sound?
Yeah.
And going with the T-Rex kind of made me laugh because I just thought it was funny.
And when mom puts it on the nativity scene and says, "We're going to hell."
was
So
loving it.
funny.
It was so
So
good.
funny.
It was so good. And then we get to the dealership, and the dealership also introduces two characters that are supposed to be, I guess, love interests for each
Yeah.
one of them, which is kind of interesting at a point,
Yeah.
especially with what happens later. Graham does the immature thing where he sees the goat. He's trying to mess with Allie, and it's just, it's one of those like, dude, come on, just be better.
One thing that I have to mention before we go through this next part, and it gave me another reason to not like Allie. I really don't like it when exes ruin future relationships for their ex, especially when you're the one who dumped them. So Allie Graham and Graham's siblings and the two people you mentioned, the love interest, go to the bar. Allie talks about how Graham can't keep it up and is trying to ruin him and the other girl. I think her name's Jess. They're coupling. And even though Graham stooped down to a very low level with the goat scene, you don't see him trying to ruin her and the other guy, but you actively see her trying to ruin him and this girl, and it's out of pure jealousy. And I really didn't like this because I can understand why she wouldn't want Graham to be with someone else, but you're the one who broke up with him.
Yeah.
So he is no longer yours.
Yeah. It's one of those, she's just coming off as a crazy ex, which is just, it's very interesting.
Jess gives Graham her number and they make out, and you could see kind of in the best Christmas ever where there's competing with other couples that happened there. Allie wants to compete as well and feels up dealership guys' pants to get his phone to give the number, and you can clearly see that she's drunk. And this was so awkward.
Yes, it was. It made it
Also,
so hilarious.
we get a moment where Graham cock blocks his sister. Mindy is making out with this girl, and Graham still thinks Mindy's in a relationship with Heather. And turns out that Heather broke up with Mindy, and Mindy never told Graham. And Graham's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And she goes, "Because then you'd realize that my shit is just as bad as your shit." And she was embarrassed about it. But she ended up telling Allie. And this is in the back of my mind is these great people in his family all really enjoy Allie and they see something in her. So she must be a good person. But everything that we're seeing of her on screen is showing that she's a terrible person.
Yeah.
Except for like her comforting Mindy here. I was like, okay, maybe there is some light in her, but I still don't like you. So, thoughts on the bar?
Two of my favorite scenes in the movie are Graham, Allie, and his sister, and that whole situation. Graham feels like he has a really close relationship with his sister. Turns out he really
Mm-hmm.
doesn't. His sister is friends with Allie outside of everything, and so she's basically her confidant. But then you see Graham kind of like, he's in this moment where he's like he's messing with Allie, and then he drops it immediately and
Yeah.
goes, and he's the brother. And both of them, the second that it looked like it was going to hurt her, they put him away. The kiss goodbye thing, I was rolling. I thought it was hilarious when she's like, trying to do the kiss and like all that sort of stuff. The
She
phone,
was so
it was
aggressive.
so aggressive and so awkward. And the guy was like, what do I do here? Do I like
Right?
this? Do I not like this? And it was one of those.
Yeah. He had a face for a second because he goes from "this bitch is crazy" to a smile on his face, like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get some later." Like it was like the weirdest like switch from face to face, and I'm
Guys
like,
are
"Do
dumb.
you like her or do you not like her?" Or this is just like, "Hey, I may get laid."
Guys are
So
dumb. Guys are dumb. What can I say?
the next morning, Allie is joining Dad Graham and his brother on their male bonding ice fishing trip. And I was like, come on. You're already in this house where you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be going on a male bonding fishing trip. Like, there's a reason why it's a male bonding fishing trip, males only. As they leave, T Rex baby Jesus is now missing. So we are now down to baby Jesus, and we have now the
Rubber duck.
rubber duck baby Jesus replacing T Rex. They all seem miserable and cold while ice fishing. She's so miserable. And she's only there to piss off Graham. And it's like, do something better with your life than making yourself miserable by pettiness. And Graham and Allie are fighting over the heater, which is really childish. So this was just super childish. She shouldn't be there. Your thoughts on this?
I mean, how can you have a Christmas in Minnesota and not have an ice fishing thing? I honestly thought it was funny as hell. The little brother is gonna catch a fish, and then they electrocute everything, and they're like, "This sucks. We have to go back now." But I
I mean,
love
you
that.
would think that the fish would rise up to the top if he's dead and electrocuted, and therefore easier way to get the fish.
Maybe. Yeah, but also at the same time, you're like, I love the scene when they replace the baby Jesus, but they're like, "Oh God, let's not tell mom; she'll freak out and do this whole, and like that was great." And then they come back after the ice fishing thing, and they have to tell mom that it's gone, and then she freaks out, and she's freaking out about the whole thing.
Well, Ellie's gonna bake some Christmas cookies, and this is where Graham gets even more childish. He ruins her cookies and decides to make something himself and uses all the butter so that way she can't make a second batch. And she goes into the garage fridge and pulls out what she thinks is normal butter, but is actually marijuana infused butter. So everyone at dinner who ate the cookies gets extremely high. Also, weirdly, car salesman guy and Jess show up for dinner. And I'm just like, why are they there? Okay. And side note, Rubber Ducky Baby Jesus has also gone missing. So, your thoughts on the baked Christmas dinner?
It was so hilarious, and then the fact is, like, it's the drama of the movie. It feels like a little bit because they're all high, they're all doing this whole entire thing. The mom's anti-marijuana because dad apparently smokes,
It was
but the mom
prescribed by his doctor. Oh, really? Well, he gave me a joint at a party.
And then Graham kind of blows up, and this is where I think it seems like they're turning a corner because he screws up. He also outs his sister, which really makes him look even more of a dick. The comical hijinks, the way they shot the scene of with them all being high, I enjoyed the hell out of that.
Well, Graham and Jess end up going to a nightclub, and Jess Jess wants to have a threesome with him and her male roommate, and he turns her down. Car dealership guy takes Allie to the dealership because that's where he goes to relax. Yeah, go to work to relax. And she seems not to like it. This is one of the few times that I'm like, I agree with Allie here. This is weird. It seems like he's trying to sell her a car, not get in her pants. This is weird. But whatever. Graham comes home super drunk and he goes to his room, which currently is where Allie is staying. He's been sleeping on the couch and he's trying to just go to sleep. And he flops on his bed and flops on top of Allie. And they hate fuck. So, thoughts on this?
It was one of those things where you had to get rid of the love interest at some point. I thought it was a very ingenious way of doing it. You saw something was a little off with the girl from like the beginning. And then you have the car dealership guy, which you're like, dude, what the hell is going on with you? He's like, man, this car. It's like, what?
He's in love with the car.
I know, right?
In the morning, they finally talk about why their relationship didn't work. He tells her that He retaliated because he wasn't getting the encouragement that he needed from her. He feels like he wasn't always able to be there for her because he was working so hard to try to get promoted and get bonuses so that they could build a life together. He was being a provider. He felt like he was doing all those things for us, and he started to resent the fact that she wasn't super excited about it. She responds with, "You were focusing on what you thought I needed, but what I really needed was you to just be with me." And I was like, why didn't you just tell him this in the first place? It feels like both of you are reasonable people, even though you've done some very unreasonable things in this movie. I felt if they would have just communicated with each other, we wouldn't have the issues between these two couples, but then we wouldn't have a movie.
Truth.
We also get a heartfelt conversation with mom where she tells Graham that she almost left dad when he was focused too much on work and not on the family, and for Graham not to make that mistake. So, thoughts on this section?
I thought it was perfect, like you had seen in the bar scene where he could have outed him being Allie being in the bed, and he doesn't. He basically tries to hide the fact that she's there. It's proven a point where all they needed to do was talk, and I felt like if they had talked from the very beginning, they would have probably worked stuff out. But again, as you said, we wouldn't have had a movie. And you're seeing the fact is that they truly do still very much care for each other. That they need to get over their shit really and just focus on each other, and everything will be okay.
Next, we are in church, and as they are walking up to take communion, Graham tells Allie that he thinks he can forgive her. And she's pissed off because she thinks it should be the other way around, that she should be the one that forgives him, which is immature of both of them because you both should forgive each other. And he's trying to make that step there, and she's refusing that step because she wants to be the one that it should be me to forgive you. And it's like, we just got so far after this conversation in the morning, and now we're taking some steps back. After church, they play hockey, and Mama can play. But we have our sad emotional moment here. Dad collapses from a heart attack, and Graham is doing CPR. And while Allie calls 911, she says the words, "my fiance." She's actually acknowledging Graham as someone she cares about. Dad ends up surviving, and Allie has a redemptive scene. She tells Graham, "They're your family, you win." She also apologized for not being honest with him when she was unhappy in the relationship. She was afraid he would walk away if she told him, so she did it first. She walked away first. Thoughts on this section, and do you think Allie is redeemed?
Totally feel like the church scene should have been cut. I didn't like it at all. It's that whole entire 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. It was unnecessary. You didn't need it. The hockey game, Mama can play. The thing I like, the dad was saved because you saw Allie and Graham can be a really good team if they get the fuck out of their own way. Both of them are redeemed in this whole scene. You're finally seeing the fact is they're growing up a little bit. Graham's taking his mom's words to heart and is hearing the whole entire thing, especially when he quits his job. He realizes that I need to do what my dad did, and I need to put my family first and put her first. And then Allie's realizing that I still love him and I still want to be with him. I was in the wrong too.
Allie leaves, and Graham is about to do an airport run with the family, and this was so comically funny. This family together running and throwing coats, but then being really slow to put on their shoes, and then going into a car that won't start, and running back through the house to go to the car that's in the front of the house and opening the doors, and Allie's there. Allie didn't go to the airport. Graham tells her how much he loves her. They get back together. They find out that the neighbor's dog is the one who's been stealing all the baby Jesuses. And we get a 1 year later where they come to LA for Christmas, and Graham got Allie a pastry truck. They also do a 2 year later where Graham invites Heather, his sister's ex, to Christmas to get her back. And I laughed at this. I thought that was really funny. And then when I thought about it, I went, this doesn't make sense because this family has been bad mouthing Heather. So it's not like where they were friends with Allie and loved Allie. They don't like Heather. So why would you invite Heather to Christmas if you don't like her? So that's a weird ending to me. Thoughts on the ending for you?
Sets up a sequel. You knew it was going to come because it's an Amazon freebie movie. It's just, the comical scene, you said it perfectly, when they're running around the house doing the whole thing, and then they pause to put on shoes, and then they're running back and forth to go back to towards the van and stuff. It was just so well. And then, oh, it was a comic montage moment that just it was entertaining as hell. You're just like, yes, let's do this. Families together doing this whole thing, and then Allie's there. The time jumps, and it was like the cherry on top of the sundae. It was like a really well done thing. But I have to ask you, you were anti Allie. By the end
Mm-hmm.
of the movie, were you more on Team Allie?
I went from hating Allie to I don't hate you. Sure, whatever. This is I wouldn't date you. I would advise people I care about not to date you, but if this man loves you and you work well together, then sure. You both seem immature, so I guess you're perfect for each other.
Oh,
But I think, like you said, both of them are redeemed by the end, and I think it's really cute by the end. But there's still moments that I would look to her character and her decisions in those moments consecutively, day after day, and be this is going to be my future relationship with her. Anytime she gets mad at me, she's going to get super competitive, petty, manipulative, jealous, and I don't want to deal with that. So, and I wouldn't want someone I love to deal with that. So, she seems like a person that when everything's all good, everything is going to be great. But as soon as something goes wrong, she's going to be a nightmare to be around. And maybe I'm thinking too much psychologically on this character, but I wouldn't want to be with her. But it works out in the end. It's a Christmas movie, so not Team Allie, but not anti Allie by the end.
okay. All right. Would you want to watch a sequel to this movie, like Xmas 2?
No,
All right, I got you.
no.
All right.
I think this is one where the sequel would be god awful. Where the first movie was great,
Yeah.
but it does not need a sequel.
Gotcha. Gotcha. I feel like it'd go Hallmark if they did the sequel because I don't know how well you
Mm-hmm.
would do the sequel.
They would probably just repeat stuff that already happened in the first movie and do it not as well, and also go, where was all the lessons you learned in the first movie? Obviously that didn't mean shit. Here we go again.
Right.
So I don't think this movie should have a sequel.
Although it also depends who they do as a casting of Heather, because I feel like if you do like a really good comedic woman as a casting for Heather, like she has to be god awful. It's one of those type
Yeah,
deals. But then at
but
the same
again,
time,
the family doesn't like Heather, so it doesn't work in the
that's
same
true.
way. But anywho, I think we both enjoyed this movie. it
Yes.
was it was fun, it was entertaining, it was fun to watch people be shitty. Like, these people are shitty people. Like, let's just be honest. This was way better than Best Christmas Ever,
Oh,
which
by
was the
far.
last movie you and I reviewed. And I think this is going to be up there so far with the best we've seen this year, not including older movies when we go into people's favorite movies for this 25 Days of Christmas. But we'll see if something else tops this. I really liked this. I enjoyed dashing through the snow. So depends on what comes next, if it'll be good or not. Anywho, I'm Sol. That's Jason. This is Off the Wall. And stay tuned tomorrow for our next video.